2002. I quit my job because I just couldn't go in anymore. And I see this all the time with people. I mean, all the time. People are in their jobs or in their 30s or even probably earlier now. And they're just over it. They're done already, and they've got the whole rest of their lives, and they're looking at this, is this my life? And so that was me, and I just couldn't do it. There was just too much in me that I wanted to get out creatively, and so I quit, and I didn't have the money to quit. We were around $70,000 in debt at the time. There were bills from all angles, and I had a young family, and it was just a ridiculous move. From the outside looking in, everyone would have said that was a terrible mistake and I should have had something else lined up and all of those things, which, I don't recommend my course of action for most people, and really it doesn't have to be that way. Luckily, I think one of the things that I like to teach people is how to prevent that from having to be your scenario. It's so easy to prevent that now, but in any case, back then I didn't know any of that. And I had this idea in the back of my head that what I was going to do was help people learn how to create their lives by design. And I was just a terrible example of that, but I knew a lot of stuff. I'd read a lot of books researching this topic because I was trying to figure out why my life wasn't working the way that I wanted it to. But I thought that maybe by teaching it, I would pick up a few things and get some results. And to an extent, that was somewhat true, but in terms of anything showing up financially, nothing happened. And in fact, I just kept getting in worse and worse debt, and it just got bad. And the whole time I was really trying to figure out what was going on. I was trying to tap into my intellect, that very same thinking machine that got me into that situation in the first place, right? And try and figure out why this wasn't working. And I guess in the background, I had learned enough by that time, about creating your life by design, that you weren't supposed to do that the universe had the answers. And on some level, obviously, I understood that and was willing to go out and teach it. But it was interesting, the few times that I had the opportunity to speak to people about that, I'd hear what I was saying, and I'm thinking, yeah, I totally get this. This sounds totally right, and I feel good about what I'm saying, but yet I wasn't having results in my life, and I didn't know why, and I didn't do very well as a result. I had books and tapes and things like that, or tapes and CDs, and very few people bought them, and I certainly wasn't getting myself out of my financial situation. So at some point I just had to say, all right, I give up. In terms of trying to figure it out. I'm going to do this whole let the universe give me the answers and follow my intuition, even though I wasn't 100% sure what that was going to look like or feel like. And so I just set the intention that what I want in my life is this. And in my case, it was a career that I loved, making plenty of money to get out of debt, and just to find to be able to express myself creatively through what I did, so I would enjoy it and feel passionate about what I do. And so that was the intention. And then from that point on, I just decided that, okay, I'm just going to let the universe handle it. And I'm going to look for things that are, I guess, different than the norm. I'm going to try to figure out what it means to listen to my intuition. And so I did that. And how that showed up in my life was just sort of a series of conversations I was having with people that were really out of the ordinary. And I thought, well, this is different. And there was no way that these conversations seemed to be the answer to my issues. They were just things to talk about that were interesting to me. And actually, in my case, it was about angels, of all things. So, I just had these conversations about angels, and then angels started showing up, statues of angels, books about angels, pictures, paintings, just angels everywhere. And I was just kind of noticing that and following that in a very relaxed sort of, I wonder what this is about kind of way. I wasn't making it mean anything except that, wow, this is kind of fun and cool. There's all this synchronicities, right? And to make the long story short, that led me to meeting certain people and having these various meetings that ended up in me finding the information that I was looking for, that turned on the lights. This whole creating your life by design conversation, you talk about energy and the universe's energy and how things will come to you. And I loved that concept enough to be out there teaching it, but I wasn't having the results. And this information that came to me gave me the science piece of it. It talked about quantum physics and how our thoughts actually have an impact into what's going on out there. And it had me look at my own belief systems about success and business and money and debt and all those things that I was struggling with. And I had to be really honest with myself and say, although I'm talking about how I want to have all this money and all of that, my belief systems about money were that it's hard to come by, that, it didn't matter how much you had or how much came into you, it wasn't going to be enough, and there would always be debt. I mean, that was my experience growing up in a single parent home, and my mother was a school teacher, so there wasn't a lot of income coming in, right? Multiple streams of revenue was a completely foreign concept. It was my mother's paycheck, and that was it. And so that was all I knew about money, was that there isn't enough. But when I was able to see that and get that my belief system, and now knowing what I'd learned about how their energy and how they have an impact onto what I can actually bring into my life, then I was able to say, all right, I'm going to make it my intention to change these beliefs, to change this energy around money. And so I started by just doing, what some of the stuff that I talked about, really getting intentional about visualizing. I would change my background wallpaper on my computer to my bank statement with bigger numbers in it, to the car I wanted, to exercise equipment I wanted, and all of those things, and really kind of get into the feeling of, yeah, that's what reality is for me now instead of this other stuff. I would practice getting into this millionaire mindset, meaning what would it be like, what would it feel like to have everything financially handled? How relaxed would I feel if I had no more debt and could go out and basically buy or do anything I wanted to? What would that feel like? And instead of going into that feeling of, oh, how's that ever going to happen, or that'll never happen to me, just allowing myself to have that feeling was amazing. I talk about it in my Wealth Beyond Reason book because that was one of the biggest another one of the big aha moments I had early on, was just allowing myself to feel abundant, not think about abundance and wishing that I had it, but to allowing myself to feel that. And so I would go test drive cars and I would go walk through big homes, to get that feeling of, this is mine, I can totally have this, and this is what it's going to feel like when I do. And everything started changing for me. And now, at the same time, as I was having all these aha moments, I became, and started seeing results and having, monumental shifts in the way I was feeling and thinking. I thought, I don't know what the long-term picture is, but I know that right now I have to share what I'm learning. These aha moments are huge, and I know that I can tell people about them. And so it was that point, and it was very early on after the lights went on for me, that I knew that I wanted to create some sort of an information package that I could share on the internet with just what I was learning and what I had discovered. I didn't really consider myself knowing everything at that point, but certainly I had gotten some major aha moments and had deep understanding of some things. And so there were two things that happened. One, I made the decision that who I was going to be about this was someone who was an expert, someone who did know the truth behind this and who could communicate it effectively. It wasn't that I said one day I'll be that. I am that now. And what occurs as a result of really powerfully stepping into being like that is the resources that you need to make that a reality come to you. And that's what happened for me. And the resources came in various forms. A lot of times it was just ideas and downloading of information. See, this was putting into action what I had been learning, and in turn was putting into the very first iteration of what would be the Wealth Beyond Reason program, which is our law of attraction curriculum online. And at that time, it was 5 ebooks from people. I took the information where I'd gotten my aha moments. I contacted that author. I contacted 4 others who had done work that really helped me to gain an understanding, made my deals with them and said, I want to include your work in my program. And then, again, taking what I had learned, created, I think, 1 audio seminar and a meditation. And that was it. I think I put it out for around $20 at that time. Now, as I said, the universe kept delivering to me more resources to help me become that powerful expert in this area, someone who could really make a difference for people. And so, again, I was just getting this information, these insights all the time, and I would pour them back into this Wealth Beyond Reason program, in forms of little mini seminars or follow-up seminars, I called them. I would meet these people and interview them, and expert interviews, and we created online forums. Over the course of the years, the thing has just gotten really big in terms of, the amount of resources that you have, and it's all information, my commitment has always been that it would be information that has made a difference for me and I know will make a difference for the people who avail themselves of it. And since that time, as I've increased my understanding even more and gotten out in the world and seen more results in my own life and met people and talked to people and just really, really become a sponge for this information, more resources have created CDs and DVDs, sets, and done work with just amazing people who are very powerful in their fields that are synergistic with what I'm up to, right? And so together we've created all sorts of programs, and I've done events, and this has been huge for me because I was really all about hiding from the world. My first career out of college was radio, and I chose radio because I could hide behind a microphone and no one would have to see me, and I really would have to interact with very few people. But what I learned from learning what I learned is that the more you put yourself out there and the more value you contribute to the world, the more abundance flows to you, and the connections that you make with people actually feel good, and that there's not really anything to be afraid of, and that people are wonderful, and exchanging value with people, whether it's through money or other types of exchange of value, is really, creating powerful relationships is what this is all about. And the bigger you play full out, the more abundance comes to you. It's that simple. So it never served me to play a small game and try to hide. And in fact, the bigger game I tried to play, and it wasn't about ego or, oh, look at me, I'm so, popular, or I'm whatever. I didn't want any of that. It was just the connections and the feeling of contribution. And then, that of course culminated in around 2005 of being chosen as one of the teachers in The Secret, which was really humbling for me because, I really felt like while I'd had some success with the Wealth Beyond Reason program, I didn't really consider myself, there were people out there like other folks who were in the film, Jack Canfield, and those people who have been in this industry for a really long time. And then I was asked to be in it, and it blew me away. But, at the same time, as I look at it from a law of attraction point of view, it's like, well, why was I chosen? From a law of attraction point of view, my intention, my goal has always been to get these principles into as many willing minds as possible in a big, big way to make a profound impact to the extent that I can, giving the full value of what I know to people. And that is really Rhonda Byrne's vision too, with creating The Secret. So we were in complete resonance with that, and I think that, and then the fact that, I explain these principles in a really non-new agey, non-woo-woo kind of way, really take a scientific approach so that people who were like me, who were pretty much mainstream thinkers, but curious, would love to believe this idea that we have this kind of control over the experience of our lives, but needed more, needed some real practical, usable information. I think that was an element that she wanted in the film, and that was why I was chosen as one of those people. So, that is really, if I had to really nail down, well, what is it that has afforded me the success or whatever that I've had, it is that I stepped powerfully into being who I said I was going to be. And I learned about limiting beliefs and how to eliminate them. And I pour all that into the program. I think that one of the things that helps me is that as I learn, I put it right back out there. I put it back out there to contribute. I never want to be thought of as one of these guru types where like I know everything and you need to keep following me forever for you to have any success. What I really am committed to is saying, here's what I know, and putting it in there so that they can go out and have these same results. It's about a transfer of knowledge. It's not about being dependent on a person or a program. Having said that, getting into a community of people who were all on the same page is something that the internet affords now that, really wasn't that practical 10, 15 years ago. I remember early on when we started the program, people would say, are there people in my area who are in this conversation? I'd be like, I really don't know, And so one of the things we did a couple of years ago was start something called the Boundless Living Challenge. And what this was an invitation to everyone in the world who would, hear the invitation to come and play a really big game, to say, here's what I'm passionate about, but I'm stuck. I haven't gotten there. I'm committed to making this breakthrough in this area. And so what we gave them in this online community called the Boundless Living Challenge was sort of a social network, a Facebook type thing, if you will, except for all for these people who are really up to something huge. Plus, we gave them some of the material from our Wealth Beyond Reason program, so they could learn about the law of attraction. They could learn about resistance, because those are the things that are going to determine their success ultimately. And so, learning about how those things have been at work in their life, then they understand, well, here's why I've been stuck. Oh, and here's some tools that I can do to get unstuck. And here's what I really am passionate about, not what I think I should be passionate about. We give them the ability to get clear on their vision, because so many people are chasing things that have nothing to do with what they're truly passionate about, because of the way that we've been conditioned through society to think, well, that this means success, this dollar amount, or this size house, or this type of car means success to everybody. Well, it doesn't. We all have our own particular passions. We all have our own thing we're up to in our life. And the big money and the big houses may or may not be a byproduct of us being who we truly are. The key is to be happy, to feel a sense of passion, because when you have that, you're not even going to notice so much. I remember the first time I really looked at the bank statement and said, whoa, how did this happen? It happened without, and I mean in a good way, it happened without me even realizing it, because I was so focused on just doing what I was doing, contributing, adding more value to the program, making it available, hooking up with other people, creating relationships. And then one day I just looked and said, wow, this is bigger than the numbers I put on my original fake bank statement. And it was because I was not obsessed with it. I wasn't focusing on the money. I was focusing on being who I was. And the universe provides for you in a way that will facilitate you to continue to do that in as big a way as you can possibly play. And so what my work is all about now is helping people decide, what are they passionate about? Who are they really? Where are you stopped? Here's some tools to get you unstopped, so that this law of attraction thing, which we fully explain, without any myths or oversimplifications, can actually work in a way that they want to, because it's working all the time anyway. And that's one of the first things they have to understand, is it's not something that you turn on. It's not a personal development technique. It is it explains how energy is at work in our universe, how the very fabric of reality assembles before us. And I think knowing that is a pretty darn cool thing, and can be very, very helpful for people who are stuck and wondering why things aren't working the way they want them to. So the universe wants you out there. The universe wants you contributing your value. So the more you do that, the faster things are going to come. So it's about playing full out. It's about releasing resistance. It's about continually evolving that vision. That's what I have to do all the time. And it helped me to get where I am, and it's going to help me get where I'm ultimately going to want to go, which is always going to evolve and always change and always be bigger, because I'm not done yet, right? You're not done. It isn't over till it's over.